Alrighty, party people, welcome back to Opportunity, hosted by yours truly and the always entertaining and lovely Mr. Yvonne. So
Hi
today,
everyone.
Yvonne said, "Hey y'all." So today we're gonna do something a little different. As singers and musicians and listeners, the best thing we can do is judge. So now we're gonna judge, but with good spirit. We're not gonna judge from negative, from good spirit. So we took Google's top 15 most famous arias, now famous in the to the general public, um,
Yes.
and we picked our favorites. Yvonne's gonna pick one. I'm gonna pick one. We'll let you guys listen. If you want to drop down in the comments and let us know who you would have picked, be more than welcome.
hmm
As the music is subjective. What I hear, what Yvonne hears, and what you hear are three different things. So, we want to make this one a little more light, airy, fun. So, without further ado, let's enjoy some music. So, first up,
Yes.
we have Votre Toast. Of course, you guys
Yes.
know that's from Carmen. I'm pretty sure once you hear it, you'll recognize it. And Mr. Yvonne, who did you pick for the Votre Toast?
Okay. For the Votre Toast, I chose Mr. Ildar Abdratakov. Um,
Good
when
job
I
on the
saw
name.
this, oh yes, oh no, I've been practicing. The thing is, it's just something about number one, it's like you already know, I'm not really familiar when it kind of stems into these types of operas. I should be more well. I am guilty of sticking to, what I'm used to doing. But it was something about this performer's kind of like magneticism to him. It was almost as if like I didn't, still we just completed like a French diction course this semester. So it's like I'm still kind of listening to those schwas and I'm like, ooh, that's what it's supposed to sound like. So, it's like there was much more factors than just his voice. But it's just a captivating, little clip. So how did you feel about him?
When I've heard Ildar before singing Nabucco, so I'm
Mm-hmm.
familiar with his voice. When I heard him sing this, it was good. For me, and we'll go to my pick in a minute. I just felt like in the bottom portion of his voice, it just needed a little more authority. But
You didn't feel it was heavy? I felt it was heavy.
no, it's you know what it is. He's an excellent singer, so he didn't push. So it sounded
Oh,
perfectly fine. When you hear my pick, you'll understand why I said it, because I think the role is like a bass baritone role. It's not a full
yeah.
on baritone role. So
Mm-hmm.
you kind of want that a little more
Uh,
present
mm,
in the lower part.
yeah.
So let's take a listen to Mr. Ildar. Let's see what we have. All right, party people, let's go, Mr. Eldar. You are on. All right, Eldar, let's go with okay. And Eldar was singing. Um, no, he sounds good. I like what he did. But the whole aria, if you listen to it, it has the lower parts, and
hmm
that's why I think he lost me was the lower parts. But
You know what's so crazy? Before we even get to yours, you know what I think too? I'm not gonna lie. I am so enamored with basses. Like they could sing the wrong notes and I don't care because it's like I cannot do that with my voice. So I'm always just like, all right, but who did you pick? I am so curious
I
to find out.
picked none other than the one and only Simon Estes, and the
Okay.
reason I picked him is like you said with Ildar as well. They both have this magneticism, but I think Ildar does it more with his presence, and Simon does it more with his voice. And so
Yeah,
we'll take a
I can
little
see
listen
that.
to Simon, and yeah, I just think Simon has always been my favorite for this. Unfortunately, we gotta pass through this horrible ad thanks to YouTube. But we should
Yes,
be
YouTube. You should be
running.
sponsoring us, YouTube. You should be sponsoring us, YouTube.
Yes, they should. Where should we be? Okay, 45 seconds. All right.
Oh.
So that's why I picked Mr. Simon.
Oh.
Unfortunately, we can only do clips. So after hearing both, do you still stick with your pick? Or do you want
No. Ildar Abayagov. You got to go. No, I literally that performance, just that it was just this round, just a solidified, like, oh my god. The other one, I'm not gonna lie, it was still beautiful, but I mean, to that it was like, that's like a long linguine, and that one's like a little skinny
right?
spaghetti.
It has more meat on the sound. Yeah.
It does something to it. Oh my god.
All right. See, that
Let me
was fun.
hold on, I'm just going to delete that off and put yours in.
So moving right along to our second pick. Now this one, I personally added, because it's not one that you normally hear. I don't think the audience knows it per se, but it's definitely among musicians, especially our countertenor community. They definitely know this one. Um, and I've always loved this piece. So next we have Welcome Wanderer, which is from Benjamin Britten's Midsummer's Night Dream, sung
Mhm.
by the one of the leads, the Fairy King, excuse me, Oberon. So, Mr. Yvonne, who did you have picked for Welcome Wanderer?
Okay, so this was very difficult for me because I hear countertenors today singing this aria, and mind you, the lusciousness, the beauty behind it, I get it. I get it. It's, but I had to give it up to the godfather countertenors. I had to give it to Alfred Deller. The reason why I chose Mr. Deller is one, to give him his flowers. Um, that's not the sole reason why I picked this, but Alfred Deller's voice was intentionally the voice that Benjamin Britten had in his mind for this opera. Now, Alfred Deller gives to me a very kind of almost like a melancholic, he has a very melancholic tone to him, almost sympathetic to the voice. Granted, there are certain timbres of the voice which are debatable if we want to talk about beauty or expression, but there's something true about Alfred Deller and his singing to the fact that that is his sound. And there is some parts of it that it even though it's not my cup of tea to go listen to, when I am listening to it, it deserves a sense of respect, like a sense of, wow, this is interesting. I think that when I sing in my voice, like I hear Alfred Deller in the echo. Like I hear those same colors that the countertenors. I feel that, and I want to say this for all singers, and we're going to get to you real quick, but us being the same voice type is a great thing. But remember is that see yourselves, I always pictured it as a rainbow. Like I'm not trying to have like a joke behind it, but it's of the same, but of a different color. And when they're all, you could all see the beauty. Like I feel like, one singer has captured the essence of what that is in a different, a beauty compared to the next one. So, I just give it my flowers, Alfred Deller. It's a beautiful sound. I'm not going to deny that. It's different and it fits that fairy king, that otherworldly kind of like, what is that? Like, it gives you this sense of, wow, it just fits it. It's perfect.
All right, so let's take a listen to Mr. Alfred Deller. Yeah, we coming, we coming, we coming, we coming. We're gonna do 36. You know, he sang it so with so much control and finesse. I had to see like, okay, is it playing? Like, he's singing. You know, and that's another thing. Sometimes I don't like with classical albums. If you notice the difference between those and contemporary, like they record them so low. I wish they would record them like loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was very, very good. Now, the one that I picked, um, this gentleman I've never heard before. I'm gonna butcher his name. I'm so sorry in advance. His name is Chuan Wan Liu,
Mm-hmm.
and it was to me, it was just different. It was different from what I normally hear when I hear this scene in particular when it comes to A Midsummer's Night Dream.
Mm-hmm.
So let's take a listen. I actually really liked it. You know, I'm gonna look for more of this gentleman's stuff. Let's take a listen. Right. And whoa. I really wish there was a way we could play like more of the tracks, but yeah, I like
Mm-hmm.
this. It has a little more contemporariness to it, you know, versus a more traditional countertenor sound. So I think that's what
Yeah.
attracted me to his voice. But if I had to pick one for this specific scene, I'm sorry, Mr. Liu, I'm gonna go with Mr. Deller. If there's something, I mean, it's hard to beat when the piece is pretty much written for you. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of hard to beat because
But
he
the thing,
what to do nuance wise, like where it was just the wording, the wordplay with the melody. I mean,
yeah, no, it's the thing about it is like, and that's why I want to touch again on the concept of timbre, because these are of a countertenor, yes, same voice type, but there's certain parts of the rainbow that they're separating. Alfred Deller is taking a part where, because naturally his tone has a sympathetic quality to it. Like if you look up anything from Alfred Deller, listen to Alfred Deller's music for a while. Like my listeners, even Terrence, I implore you, listen to that, because it does something to your mind. It really makes you feel that the text is alive. When I hear his record compared to other people I'm like, oh, that's great. Okay, oh, they're doing great on the little dotted rhythms going through. It's like you analyze the piece, but Alfred Deller makes you forget. You're literally sitting there like, oh, it's we commend you. Rest in peace, Alfred Deller.
yeah, he definitely made me switch my vote. All righty, so right on down the line, we have next the almost always recognizable aria that most people know, that they play a lot, hear a lot, that us singers we hate hearing it because we hear it so much. But we
Mm-hmm.
have O mio bambino caro, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean it's a gorgeous piece. It's just that we as singers we hear it a lot, so it's kind of like it's overkill for us. But
Yes.
with that
Even we
being
hear it a lot.
said, we're gonna speed through this one so we can stop our punishment. So Yvonne, who did you pick?
Leontine Price. Leontine Price. Shows Auntie Leontine. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Like, I can't wait to hear your pick so we could go back to back and
yeah.
forth because
So let's go
we got
ahead
to
and
get.
take a listen at the one and only, the incomparable Miss Leontine. Yeah, you know how YouTube is. They love the ads. So we're just gonna have to push through
Well, during this ad, we will talk about how Leontine will bless your ears with the beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, no, I got my life. I got my life. I really did. It was such, I mean, there were so many options, but when I literally was just like, who is it going to be? My spirit was like, do we need to talk about this? I was like, okay, we won't.
All right, so here we go. Leontine. So, I mean, I
Beautiful.
cannot lie. I cannot lie. One, it doesn't get much better than that. I'm not gonna say my pick was better. What this is what I was trying to do. I was trying to diversify my picks because if I don't, I'll have like three people.
It's okay.
I promise you, I will have like three people for everything. So,
oh, I see what you mean. I see what you mean.
right. So I'm gonna hold my Leontine card for something else that I know I'm gonna pick her in. Um, this person, it took me a while to get on the train.
Mm-hmm.
I was a harsh critic at first. I know we shouldn't be so hard on our other fellow singers, but it took me a while to get on this train. But there is something, star quality, whether you like her or not. There's something so star quality about her. Montserrat Caballé, that's not my pick, but Montserrat, Leontine, they're known for these spinning, floating high notes. Now, this next person falls right in line. So my pick was Renee Fleming.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I don't think, you know what I'm saying? I don't think in this specific sense, I wouldn't think better. I'm thinking parallel. And like I said, I wanted to give more people, like I know what I'm saving my Leontine vote for. So I'm gonna save my Leontine vote for that. So let us take a small listen to Miss Renee Fleming. You the decrescendo, Leontine is always gonna be Leontine. You'll be hard pressed to
No,
find
it was
anybody to say,
beautiful. It was
but
beautiful. Give credit where it's due.
yeah,
Beautiful.
you can't deny
But
the beauty of it. You just can't. I mean, you could be a hater all you want, but the lady sings beautifully.
sings beautiful. But who you going with?
Oof, oof. I feel like I'll get killed if I don't say Leontine. I really do feel like the people will come after me. Once again, it's parallel. I'm not saying it's better in this sense.
I get what you mean.
However,
okay, so is it based?
I'm gonna stick with Renee on this one.
Go with Renee?
I'm gonna stick with Renee on this.
Okay. All right. So basically how you putting it, this is how, I'm taking it. So basically, if you paid to go see this opera and it was starring Miss Price, and say Miss Price, God forbid, fell ill and she needed a substitute, and Renee was next, you would still be pleased with your ticket of purchase.
I mean, for me to see Leontine, I could have purchased a ticket for her to sing Sesame Street.
It's just a scenario. It's just a scenario. It's like saying you'll be content.
This opera specifically, yes, I would be, because honestly, I feel this type of Puccini is more in Renee Fleming's realm than it is Leontine's. Could Leontine sing perfectly? Absolutely good. But we like Leontine with something a little more thrust in it. This is more floaty. So, Leontine, I swear to God, I still love you, but yeah, I would have to pick Renee for this. Um, so moving right along, we have Sequel, or most people refer to it as the prologue from Pagliacci. Um, and you went with an interesting pick, with a a really good pick. He's probably in his day he was known as one of the premier baritones. So I'll let you take it away.
All right. So the individual, the master that I chose was Mr. Tito Gobi. This, when we were going through the lists, when we decided and voted on the pieces to speak about, I sat on YouTube and I kept scrolling, listening. That one's good. Oh, that one's good. But it was something about that old sense of technique that I feel sometimes I don't hear enough. So when I do hear it, like I wouldn't look for this piece unless we were doing this episode for the podcast. So when coming across it, I'm like, this is it. This is the sound that like I think that is missing in opera now. I understand that like things have to change and progress, but it just gave me a sense of nostalgia, kind of like why, we love it.
So let us take a listen to Mr. Gobi. This was a close one too. When I saw the list, I said, "Oh, he not having it. He coming with the heavy hitters. He coming with the heavy hitters." All right. Okay. So without further ado, here is Mr. Gobi. I hate to cut singers off, but we don't want to get copyright written.
Yeah.
Copywritten, excuse me. That's Mr. Gobi. With him, for me personally, he's great. He's one of the greats, but I think he shines more. Like I think his signature role is probably Scarpia and Tosca. Like acting wise, I don't think there has been another. But my pick, I went with another old school Italian. Not as famous as Mr. Gobi, but he played no games when it came to the Verdi baritone roles. And I picked Mr. Ettore Bastianini. He's a singer, in my opinion. Most singers know him, but like the outside world wouldn't know him. They wouldn't know Tito because Tito did a lot of those older school what was the word? They did like the operas on TV, and Gobi was definitely one of the pioneers in that. So more people will be familiar with him than Mr. Bastianini. But Mr. Bastianini did not play. He was right up there with the caliber of singing. And let us take a nice listen.
Yes.
Boom.
Oh, I'm sorry. I might have to switch after that.
You heard those ringing, and he kept it on.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
beautiful.
Oh man.
Ooh. I love me lose my wig.
Okay, I'll ring it a good
that's beautiful. Yeah.
Judgment time has come. Are you gonna stay on your ship? Or are you gonna get on the deck?
I think I'm about to abandon ship. I think I'm gonna have to go with yours. It was so good.
Yes.
Rest in peace, though. Rest in peace, Tito.
Yes, he's saying that. All right, so next, I know y'all know this one. I know everybody and they mama know this one. It is another than the habanera from Carmen. It needs no introduction. Everybody knows this.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, ba-dum, boom, boom, ba-dum, boom, boom.
If you grew up as a millennial and if you grew up watching Hey Arnold, this is what Helga sings to Arnold in her dream.
I mean, this is probably one of the most widely known. They say if you Google, they say it's O Mio Bambino Caro, but I don't agree.
Yeah.
I don't even think that's number.
Wait, talking about from where?
Like most famous arias. They say it's
Oh no, no, it's Carmen.
I would have said Carmen, then I would have said Nessun Dorma, then I would have said the Largo Al Factotum, because you hear that a lot, especially our age group with Bugs Bunny conducting. That's what he was going, dun, 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 you know, Bugs Bunny. Yeah. But let's take a look. Oh, you got who did you pick for the habanera?
I chose a rising. Well, I don't think she's rising. I think she has arrived. I got to see this performer, and ever since then, I became kind of hooked. I love contraltos. I don't know if maybe it's because it's like, since we sit on the rarity side of the men's high voices and they sit on the lower side of the rarity of women's high voices. So it's like we sing mostly the same rep. So the thing is, I chose Jamie Barton. Her voice is just so beautiful, so lush, and her character delivery gives me everything. Like I literally was about to go through my wallet and give her some coins. Like, okay, how much you need? Beautiful.
Do you consider her a contralto or a mezzo?
I consider her a contralto.
What made you say contralto?
Because I think that there's certain things in her voice that I feel, you know, like when you hear the extremes of someone's register, and when I hear, it's like, it's not like the Marilyn horn, where, I mean, Marilyn had some low notes, but Marilyn had a certain, how can I put this? You know, certain character about her that she wasn't a fan of reckless singing. I'm not saying that Jamie Barton is a reckless singer, but I'm saying that her character gives off that she is not afraid to go in certain parts of the voice or into the sound, or to over exaggerate. This sense of singer's freedom I see. So I think that when I see her like literally she's living her life in this aria. When I see when she's going lower, I'm just like, oh my God, I know there's more there. That is not the end. I know there is more there. And I feel because, you know, given a contralto, there's not really that many roles. Like I would say like title roles really out there. So you're going to take on the mezzos and have to take that, you know, and there's more roles there. There's more opportunities. But I do hope that she's getting some more, like she's really training that lower part of her voice. She could be a duet. I don't care. I just hear it.
I heard Jamie, I think I heard her sing maybe the Donizetti, the Omio Ferrat, I think I heard her sing that. I loved her voice. I just want her to continue to do what she's doing. So many people, I think, are trying to drive her. Some people have said she's a lazy soprano, so they're trying to drive her a little further up. Some people, I don't know, you know, I think some people want to see her go in the Rossini way. I mean, if you have the flexibility, you know, go for it. But when I heard her sing the Donizetti, I liked it. It reminded me of, you know, I won't say an old school mezzo, but the newer age mezzos. Yeah, I want to hear more from her. I want to hear more. So let's take a listen at Miss Jamie Barton. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, you see it? You see it?
I love it. I love it. Y'all have to, if y'all can find it, It's not on YouTube because I tried to find it on YouTube. If you go under Opera Fanatics
On Instagram.
you're gonna have to look on Instagram. You're gonna have to look a little bit. And Yvonne was speaking about not only this episode, a few episodes back, about singers being in the moment. And the reason I laughed, it was a good laugh. It wasn't a bad laugh. The reason I laughed because I was looking at it, and she was just in it, and she was having fun, and she
Like I said,
in it, and
my
that's the
wallet.
reaction, right? And that's the reaction that you want from people, whether it's to laugh, cry, whatever you're supposed to be doing as a singer. You want a reaction. You know, everybody's not going to react the same way. Some people like me, I laugh because I thought it was funny in a good way, a good fun way. Like I would love to see her sing for an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours because I love the character. Like
I love that.
The voice is there. The voice is there.
Oh.
But the character is there. And, you know, opera is a visual art form. Yes,
it is.
Singing is is 80% of it. But, you know, it is a visual art form. You know, we do have to act. And she did that. I like that. So let me not get too sidetracked. So the one that I picked was Elena Obrostosa. And she's one of those old school gung-ho European mezzos that have that booming, like she'll fight you with her voice. One of those kind of, you know, I'm always leaning towards those type of singers, you know, Giulietta Simeonato, Fedora Papieri, you know, those type of mezzos. I'm a fan of chest voice. I love when they dive down in that chest voice.
Yes.
But without further ado, let's listen to Madame Elena. Okay, YouTube. Thank you. Okay, YouTube. Goodbye. Goodbye. Where are we going to hear you from, Elena? Okie dokie. So that's my pick. And if you couldn't tell why I picked it, what Jamie does with her expressions, Elena does with her voice. The portamenti, just the overall musicianship of it. If I was listening to it, I would pick her. If I was visually going to see it, I think I would go with Jamie. Honestly, I just those old school singers, they knew how to sing a line. If nothing else they could do, they could sing a damn line. Avon, what's going on over there in that cup?
So unfortunately, I would 100% agree with you because all I kept thinking was, you know, I shut my eyes, I tried to listen, and all I pictured was, why couldn't this be Jamie's face with this voice? It's like, why couldn't I just take that voice and just attach it to Jamie? Like, that's how you sound, but keep the character going. Jamie has a beautiful voice.
No doubt.
I think that,
no doubt.
But I think there's this is two different schools right now. We are in that new generation school where I think that our predecessors will say the same thing as through time, that this is a group of reckless singing, wild singing is now being allowed. It's literally, go back through history book, you're going to see it. We all been saying that, they wild, they don't know what they doing as a progression. But I do hope that, I don't know, it was excellent singing. It was spot on. It was beautiful. It was connected. It's like there was soul attached to that sound. There was, it was an instrument. Like you literally was just like, oh, that is a beautiful, like that singing reminded me of just like a crystal, just something shimmery and shiny, brand new, It just had that, beautiful voice. So I would actually have to say your pick. I love Jamie. It's a great performance, but if I vocally had to pick, I'm gonna go with yours.
That's
So.
I think that's what leaned me over. Like I told you, when I heard you heard my reaction when I saw Jamie, I loved it. Jamie, you did your thing.
Mm-hmm.
And to Jamie's credit, if you put both of them side by side visually, you would enjoy seeing Jamie more. You would. You just would.
Mm-hmm.
The singers of Elena's era, this is 80s, 70s, that era. Um, they did act. There was some great singing actors, but the focal point you can tell was definitely on the music. You heard just the way she coasted that line, and then just and how musical it was, and a lot of times another reason why I picked it, there are a slew of mezzosopranos and contraltos who sing a mess out of this in a good way. But the reason why I picked her is because I feel like in that generation of mezzos, Fiorenza Cosotto, Giulietta, even when Shirley Verrett was singing mezzo and Grace singing mezzo, I feel like Elena gets overlooked, and that's why I wanted to give her a little shine.
Give her
Um,
her flowers. Yep.
yeah,
Get your
give her.
flowers.
So next we have another very famous piece that we all know um that this is going to be a tough one. This is going to be a tough one because I feel like I might jump ship on this one. I don't know yet. But
That's
next
all
we
right. There's
have
room. There's room.
next we have Rossini's Lago Alfatotum, excuse me, from the Barber of Seville. And I'll let Yvonne go with his pick.
All right. My pick was the none other Cheryl Mills.
Legendary.
I'm telling you, command. I mean, not only was he spectacular in this, I mean, beautiful legato. If you want to hear some really gorgeous legato singing, go ahead, take a class, and that's something I think a lot of singers can benefit from is legato singing. Think of a nice necklace of pearls, keep it connected. But
A lot of people, Cheryl Mills was probably the go-to baritone for a long time. A lot of Verdi stuff and the high baritone stuff. Some people think he's a lazy tenor. You know, that's because he didn't play with them high notes. I'll tell you that. That's the one thing about Cheryl that them other baritones could not stand.
Yeah.
He had secure high A flats. He had secure high A naturals, and I've even heard the man sing a B flat. Like
Oh, wow.
I don't know, maybe he was a dramatic tenor. Who knows? But let's take a listen at the none other Cheryl Mills. Not yet. Hold on. Not yet, Mr. Mills. We're going to 108. Okay. Take it away.
Oh.
All right. I mean,
Beautiful.
what do you say to that? Like,
I mean, okay, who do you pick? Who would you pick?
So my pick. I mean, what do you say? What do you say to that? Was Mr. Simon Kingsley's side? Excuse me. I've always loved Simon's voice. I think he has a gorgeous voice. Not as dramatic as maybe Cheryl, but he was another one who had excellent high notes. He's more on the he's a contemporary to Shirley, so I think Cheryl, excuse me. He was singing mid 2000s on forward. And if you get a chance to watch it, he's actually shaving somebody as he's singing this. Barber.
Like literally shaving?
Like literally shaving. So
okay. Oh, ooh.
We're gonna take it's kind of scary, but we're gonna take a listen at Mr. Simon. Yeah, he's I won't say he didn't get his flowers, but I don't know. Maybe something happened that I'm not aware of. He kind of just like I want to say dropped off, but it was like for a while we weren't seeing him. So I don't know. But without further ado, so beautiful high notes,
Mm-hmm.
gorgeous presence, but Cheryl's is more dramatic, more a bigger sound. Um, oh, I feel so bad. I feel so bad, but Simon, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to go with Cheryl. I'm sorry. You
Bye,
just
Simon. We'll send you SOS. Goodbye.
Simon, you ought to like if you want to hear some good. I think Simon, one of his signature roles. I want to say it's Hamlet. I think the arias I want to quitter. That man
Mm-hmm.
sings the mess out of that beautifully. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Cheryl on this. I mean, what more can you say? So next
Good.
up is a very legendary aria, a very legendary aria. It is semi-popular amongst modern audiences, but all of us musicians know it. We know it. We know this. We know this. And when I saw who you picked, I laughed so hard. And I was gonna ask you, are you sure? So I said, you know what? Let me not say nothing because this must be for comic relief because I did not understand this pick. So the aria we're talking about is Der Hirlerach, which is Queen of the Night, second revenge aria, excuse me, from Mozart's The Magic Flute. Now, Yvonne, you will have to explain to us what this is about.
Okay, so the aria that I chose, I mean, not the aria, but the individual that I chose for this is I chose the legendary Mama, Florence Foster Jenkins. I know everybody's like, huh? Like, is he on something? Is everything okay? No, the reason why is um I'm not sure if we are all familiar with the life of Miss Florence Foster Jenkins. Um, she was someone who had a profound love for opera and for music in general. More love than half the singers that are probably out singing right now, for number one. Some people just sing it to sing. Some people just sing it for a check. But the woman sang because she loved it. Um, the woman was a horrible singer. Downright, probably, I thought it was a joke when I first heard it and first heard of Florence Foster Jenkins. But I had to dig and find out like who is this? Who is this? Like who would go and do this to themselves? And just learning about her life and the donations she's given to specifically places like Carnegie Hall and music and with her philanthropy, with her having money. Um, I chose her because I felt like if anybody was to give, I think like in this industry, I think it's so difficult to just like we always are nitpicking who's better than who and elitist almost. But I feel like she's that person that creates that bridge to people who really can't fully do what we do, that they aspire. And I feel she did it with a respect around it rather than as a joke. And I just think that out of all the flowers we give out, we at least could give her one too.
I agree with everything you said, and I don't debate anything. But this is we are talking about singing, not philanthropy. But because you picked it, I will have to play it. So, and to piggyback on what you said real quick, not going to get sidetracked. I think you're correct. And people keep in mind, this is just comparisons for fun. All of these artists are great in their own right. This is just comparison
Yeah.
for fun. We know what it takes to study music and to learn scores and languages and stuff like that. So it's not we don't do the bashing over here. We
Mm-hmm.
say who we like. We say who the other person
Safe
like.
space.
We compare. It's a safe space.
Mm-hmm.
You can dislike something and be respectful. That's a
Of course.
problem that we have nowadays. It's not about you disliking something. You can dislike something and be respectful. So, without
Yeah.
further ado, I hope y'all don't laugh. Good luck. We want to have the none other, the very legendary, very ahead of her time, Miss Florence. I still don't know
Yes.
what made you pick her, but the
Come
philanthropy
on,
portion,
mama.
you're correct. I mean, she's definitely one of the generous donors, and she respected the art. Like people was like, even though it was what it was, she still got out there and tried. I don't know what to say beyond that. So here we go.
Mhm. If she could do it, y'all could do it.
Yeah, we're gonna leave that alone. But yeah, we
All
love.
right, we already know. I already got you a spot on the boat. Like, I mean, you better not me. I hope you have a spot for me on.
Okay, so my pick was none other than the legendary dramatic coloratura herself, Ada Moser. Um, I mean, this role, this piece, because of the extensive range of it, you normally get a lot. You get a lighter voice singing it, and so when you hear Ada sing it, and you like, oh, I didn't know this big voice could move like that, and then have crystalline F sharps, like, whoa. So
Yeah.
let's take a listen to Madame Moser. Here we go. Yep. I encourage, if you never heard Ada Moser sing, do your thing. Go listen to her. She don't play.
Beautiful.
Um, excellent voice. I always love um her singing, especially this stuff, because she approached it from a more dramatic perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you gonna stay over there on that singing ship, or what you gonna do this time around?
Yeah. Florence is not with us anymore, so I'm definitely gonna jump. Thanks, Florence. No, she was, I mean, it was just I already had my life jacket on.
Oh,
So,
not the life jacket.
I boarded the ship prepared.
All right. So next up, um, I personally picked this aria because with a lot of the famous arias, you don't get too many of. There's normally famous soprano arias, normally famous tenor arias, and you don't really get too many famous mezzo arias outside of Carmen, um, and that's really it. So if you ask any mezzo sopranos and you ask them what's in their top 10 favorite mezzo arias, most of them would have this next piece in it, especially if they lean on the dramatic side. And the piece is Verdi's O Don Fatale from his Don Carlo. And Mr. Yvonne, could you share with us who you picked for this?
I picked the incomparable.
Oh, we can't hear you. Where did your sound go?
Huh?
I hear you now. There we go. We got Yvonne back. You were muted
Okay,
for
good.
like 5 seconds. So say that again for us.
Like, oh, who I picked?
Yeah, we missed all of
I
that.
said I picked the incomparable, legendary Miss Shirley Verrett. Mic drop. That is all.
Yep, and without we'll speak on Madame Verrett after we take a nice listen. But if you know, you know. So let's continue.
You go know.
Or you gonna make you know it. All right, take it away, Ms. Verrett. Yeah, I really wish there was a way we could just play through like a minute of time because it's as a singer, you just we just want to hear the end of that phrase.
Mhm.
But I mean, one of the best Emily
Beautiful.
of the past 100 years. You know, naturally, if somebody said if they picked um Shirley Verrett for Odam Fatale, the natural opposition would be Grace Bumbry. Just naturally. Um,
Yeah.
while she is one of my top, I did not pick her because I had her in mind for something else. And
Okay.
I feel like this. I also wanted to play with the generations, and I don't want to have everything, in one generation. So
Mhm.
the singer I picked is Luciana Gentino. Now, she is one of the contemporary mezzos who channels that old school of like mezzo singing from
Mm.
Elena and but she's one of the more current ones. Um I don't know. I feel like she should be bigger than what she is. I know she sang at the Richard Tucker Gala, I believe like in the early 2000s, maybe like 2007, 2008, somewhere around there. I forget. But when you hear her sing, it's like this power. Like she definitely reminds you of those old school, mezzos who were taught to not be afraid of the chest voice. That's when that comes to me. When it comes to me picking a mezzo, that's definitely on my list. Like you cannot be afraid of chest voice. Like I know
Yeah.
nowadays teachers teach, not to dive in the chest voice or whatever, but we'll leave that alone. So Luciana, take it away. So I picked that portion of it because I wanted to show that deep richness of her chest voice.
Mm.
But when it comes to Eboli, I mean, even in my top three would definitely be Shirley, Grace, and Tatiana Troyanos. So with that being said, Luciana, I love you, my dear, but I'm gonna have to go with the great, none other than Miss Shirley Verrett.
We dock at 9.
um, okay. Oh, interest. Okay, now we're getting down to nitty gritty. So this next
Mhm.
is legendary because of the way it was written. Um, I won't say it's as popular among general audiences as it is in the musical environment, especially when you come to the tenors. Um, there's, I mean, I will say this: most tenors who attempt this, they do it well because this is a piece that you can't like have do. You just can't do it. So I will give the tenors
Yeah.
the credit, and you have to have nerve. Most tenors who attempt this, they blaze through it because you can't not blaze through it. So the piece is Donizetti's A Mes Amis. It's from La Fille du Regiment. And Mr. Yvonne, tell us who you picked.
I chose Mr. Lawrence Brownlee or Larry Brownlee. Um, this recording from him was refreshing to see. Not only was it musically beautiful, it just you got to give credit where it was due. I think it was a
Not just
spectacular performance, a beautiful
Sorry.
voice, wonderful performer.
I mean, listen. First of all, he's a nice guy. He's extremely nice. Um, I hope he gets all the flowers he deserves, and then some, because he deserves them. When you hear this kind of repertoire, now I feel like now he's getting his flowers. People are really like giving him his credit and giving him, but he was singing at the same time as Juan Diego Flores. You know, maybe Juan Diego Flores doesn't sing as much. Juan Diego doesn't sing this rep as much as he used to, but you know, I'll give Juan Diego his flowers too, because at that point in time when he was singing that Rossini stuff, there were very few tenors out there making it a primary thing. You know, if you weren't singing Puccini or Verdi, they were like, "Get out my face." And you know, I will give Juan Diego that. He definitely pioneered, not pioneered word. He definitely took charge and said, "Well, listen, this repertoire is hard as hell. Why are we not considered like world class tenors? Why? Because we're not singing Roma." So I will give Juan Diego that, because he was for a while by himself, at least on the bigger spectrum. I'm pretty sure that there were people who could sing just as good as him who were not known. But on the bigger spectrum, he was one of the very few singing into major opera houses, putting on these type of arias. But I digress. Mr. Larry, take it away. Let us know why you are legendary.
Yes.
First of all, if you're gonna sing a high C, you better sing it like that. Second of all, if you're gonna hold a high C, you better hold it that long. Okay. I mean, I counted when I recorded it. When I not recorded, when I was doing it for the episode, he held that damn thing for 11 seconds. Now, in most people's mind, you're like 11 seconds, that ain't shit. But when you, as a singer, 11 seconds is a long time. It's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time.
It's a long time, and on a high note.
Oh yes. It's something he had like limitless space above that C.
I mean, he does, and clearly, you know, Larry has plenty of, you know, I think the highest I've heard him sing is maybe a high E, but it's just, he just had it, and the breath was there. He could have held. I feel like he could have did 15 seconds if he really, really wanted to.
Yeah.
If he wanted to make y'all know it,
he was just, you know,
jealous.
He was easing them in. He was just easing everybody in. He's easing everybody in.
He was easing everybody in.
Why wait till Super Bowl 56?
Sir, can you be quiet?
Who? I thought it was somebody behind you in the crowd.
All of
them were like, who that?
For those of you who don't know, this picture is from when the Met did the very, very famous Centennial Gala, when everybody who was anybody got up there to sing, from Leontine to Kerry Takanawa to all of those greats from that generation. Pavarotti actually sang with Leontine in that one. I think they did the Umbalo and Mascara duet. But my pick was Pavarotti, and he gets his just
brought up the big gun.
He gets his just due. He definitely gets his just due. Everything he gets, he deserves. The reason why I picked Pavarotti, I mean, don't get me wrong, the man sings his behind off, and then some. But he kind of made this aria famous again.
Yeah.
In the era. There was nobody out there singing it the way he was singing it until after he stepped off the game. He sang the dog mess out of this. Okay. So let us take a listen at the ever so legendary Mr. Luciano Pavarotti. If you ever want a lesson in old school Italian portamenti, just listen to that man. I mean, what can you say? This is a very hard pick. A very hard pick.
I think on this one, I'm gonna put one foot on each boat. Let's just sail together.
You know what? I'm gonna straddle the boat too because I think they're both great. And I know that yes, we are taking the Callaway out on this one. Yes, we are. We're not picking Larry and Pavarotti. It's just they're both great in their own.
Yeah.
Excellent high C's, excellent pointed, beautiful space above. I mean, when you think about high C and you think of how you would want it to sound, you would definitely think Pavarotti. You would definitely think, and then from today's generation, you would think Larry Brownlee. Don't get me wrong, there are plenty of other tenors who have excellent high C's. That's not what we're saying. But this aria, these two, they nail it. Like they nail it, hammer, leave it, coffin, 6 feet under. All right.
You could literally just say too that the torch has been passed. Like that literally is like a passing of a torch.
I think, and I have to give him credit. A lot of people don't like Juan Diego from a technical aspect, but I feel like the torch was passed to him. And then while he's still singing today, he's not singing as high as he once was. So I feel like maybe he passed the torch to Larry and what's the other Michael Spires and what's the other guy the Spanish tenor Javier. That's another one. He's very good too. He sings the mess out of this too, but I just feel like when you talk about the top, Larry and Pavarotti are mine. So moving right along, we have the ever so legendary aria Handel's Cara Sposa. And I'll let Yvonne give his pick and why he gave his pick.
Well, the individual and artist and legend and one of my favorite singers, I chose the incomparable Ayla Portals, who I feel that when you open up a singer's manual on voice types and contralto comes up, her face just needs to be there. That's a
contralto right there. That's a true contralto right there.
Her face needs to be, boom, placed there. Listening to this specifically, and specifically her da capo, it's something that is so emotive, and the like everything. It's just, I can't explain. We could just play it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful.
And then I had a question. I'll have a question for you after we play it. Ayla, take it away. Where we at? Okay. I mean, you have to really, if you have never heard Ayla Portals sing, just go listen to her sing. This clip does her no justice. Rossini, Vivaldi, Handel.
Yeah.
You want to hear some good old-fashioned bombastic contralto singing? Definitely take a listen and take a lesson, as they say. So I found it interesting that you picked Ayla over a countertenor. In general.
Oh, really?
Yes.
In general, because I feel that not only does she have the sound, I feel that Ayla gives me the interpretation with her voice. I feel that my countertenor friends, even though I thought about this too, I'm like, wow, I didn't even pick a countertenor for this piece. It's because me being a countertenor, I'm so
Yvonne, we lost you again. We can't hear you. Why you keep going mute? You keep going mute. You keep going mute.
Wait,
There
can you
you
hear
go.
me?
You're back. You're back. Okay.
Okay. So how much of that did you hear?
Probably not the last 5 seconds.
Okay, so yeah, I was kind of shocked myself that I didn't go with a countertenor on this pick, but I just don't feel it from, my fellow brothers when they're singing. Like I haven't gotten a true, like I'm going to be honest with you, I don't feel like I've gotten a true emotive countertenor yet. Like there's some nice voices out there, but I don't see the connection in what they're doing. I think that their brains are somewhere completely else. It's like, and I'm not trying to say that they're like not good performers. It's just that I don't hear it. I hear it so much of kind to, and I get it. I was trying to prove something to people, but it's something about Podol's voice that you're sad. Like whatever you're feeling. Like when I listen to that, I play that in my car regularly. When I'm driving, I'm tearing up at a red light. Like I'm literally like, oh my God. Like I could only imagine like who would feel that way. Kind of just, but go ahead, you could play your little pick.
I know you don't like my pick, but I'll say this. I agree with everything you said, but even in still, the same way I wouldn't pick a contralto singing a tenor aria just because they emoted better. I would try as much as possible for me to be true to, because I think you can agree that in an unfair aspect, a lot of times the contraltos and mezzos still y'all shine. Not in the sense that y'all can't do it, just that that's become the norm. That we have a lot of these mezzos and contraltos singing trouser roles, and there are countertenors who can sing it. So in this specific aspect, I do agree with you. I mean, when you're going up against a titan like Ayla Portals, even if is written for your voice, you better.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the aria overall. It's just like I'm not taking away from just countertenors in general by having having mezzos and contraltos have superiority over them, because I think that is actually right now we see that it's flopping over. Like the women are not getting
back to the way it used to be, as it
so.
should.
But seeing from Ayla Portals, it's like in that repertoire, there is female roles written for that voice type. So it's like there's like it's an unlimited source of repertoire, actually. So to hear a true contralto and that lower voice, like there are certain countertenors that their voices, I feel, can touch a little bit of Ayla. Like I feel like some contraltos some countertenors are scared to kind of,
dive into the masculine side of it. Yeah.
Driving in it. And the thing is, it's that you got to understand, it's that you have to let those sounds grow. You choose how those sounds, if you want to brighten them up or lighten them up, but they are such an asset to your repertoire. You're doing yourself a disservice by not visiting. I'm letting you know that, right? You're doing a disservice, and your voice will never fully be in its full potential. You have to. Your career will probably not last long if you are negating parts of your voice. You are creating bigger holes in your voice. I had to learn this. Being kind of like I don't know. You remember one time when we first were talking, and you literally were like, "Oh yeah, you're like some type of soprano, like countertenor, definitely a soprano." And like, there's that when I hear that, a lot of countertenors don't hear that, so they think that, oh, I'm not sure. Kind of, you are broken into a very similar category. There's certain countertenors whose voices, relish singing below the staff and in the middle. And then there's certain countertenors that have the ability to sing a little bit, just like how the women's voices are divided. So right. I think once we start to understand that, then I think, I'm ready to hear a contralto type countertenor rivaling Podol's. I'm ready for that. I know it's out there. It's just they're so afraid that, oh my gosh, like how am I? It's there. You just gotta open up. Gotta open it up. So what did you pick again?
I picked, now bear with me, people. I know you're not the best person, we're strictly just focusing on the singing. So I picked Mr. David Daniels. So we'll take a listen and then we'll come back. All right, Dave, take it away. I mean, you gotta be honest. You gotta be honest. You gotta be honest. I hate the fact of what he did, but damn that I mean he just oh man, I love his voice. I feel bad that I love his voice. It's like being on a diet and staring at chocolate. Like I hate the fact that I love his voice. I really do. Like, oh my god, thank God there are other kind of tenors out now. But I mean I think his voice is beautiful. That I mean, we know he ain't. We know as a person, we know he ain't. But taking the music away from the man, I love his voice. I think he has a beautiful instrument. If you look at this clip, side note, I don't know why they gave him Sister Shirley's Sunday hat on. It is absolutely ridiculous. Like he has a suit on.
That blue hat.
Yes, the blue hat. Yes, the blue hat. Yes,
yeah.
He has the Sister Shirley blue hat on. It's the weirdest thing.
All I could say is like, I'm just gonna give him the Tyra Banks. Like, we were all rooting for you.
We really were. Like, we really were.
And it's like, you get snow flowers. I'm sorry, you're not getting a flower from me because, you know, just like it could have been me. Right. So, yeah, you get snow flowers. Ayla Portals, thank you.
Unfortunately, due to unforeseen circumstances, as much as I will say that his voice is beautiful, but Ayla wins by default. So
yeah, bye. Thinking shit.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You're thinking.
So okay, so next up, this is an interesting one.
Mm-hmm. So, oh no! Why did we do this?
We have Mon Cœur s'ouvre à voir from Saint-Saëns, Samson and Delilah. Very famous mezzo-y contralto-y aria. Yvonne, do you want to go with your pick?
I chose, you know, when you got those aunties in your head. I chose my auntie in my head, the incomparable, beautiful, talented Grace Bumbry. Oh, yes, Miss Bumbry, I chose you.
It's interesting because I am the biggest Grace Bumbry fan. Like I loves me some Grace BB. That's my girl. I love me some Grace. And believe it or not, this when she sang the clip that I pulled, this is her, you know, way past the prom, but still singing the people down into the mud. So Grace, you go ahead and take it away, girl. All right, Grace, don't hurt nobody now. So, my pick. Now I'm kind of going against what I said about the countertenors, but I think we all can agree that this next person had a voice that was hard to classify.
Yep.
But when it's hard to classify, you got to go with what the person tell you they are. So if she says she's a soprano, then she's a soprano. But I honestly don't think I have ever heard this aria sang the way I've heard it sang when this lady parted her lips to sing it. And I love all the Shirley Verrett sang this, and Grace and Marilyn Horn, all the great mezzo sang it. Then this lady with this big old hair came on and said, "I'm not only going to sing y'all stuff, I'm gonna sing it slower to show y'all what real rough support is."
Oh God.
So my pick is the one and only. I don't know if I would consider an auntie in my head or a big son. I guess she would be an auntie in my head too. I can see her being my fancy bougie auntie. It's Jessie Norman. And if you watch this clip, you always mention about being in it. And that's something that I love and I respect about you. And then she gave me what I wonder if Jamie watched Jessie a lot growing up. Because the intensity, like even when they were clapping, and I don't know if you've ever had a performance like this. Even when they were clapping, sometimes after the last chord, we'll leave it there for a minute and then take it off. She was still there, like she was in it. When I tell you she was in it, she was in it. Like oh man, I mean,
I think that's even the thumbnail on YouTube. It's literally you just see the drama in her face.
Yeah. The intensity. I'm sorry. I love me some Grace, but putting her up against Jessie in this,
you already know. You guys have good snacks this time, so I'm hopping over to your boat.
All right. So next up we have I forgot what movie this was on. There's been a few movies that this is probably one of the most musically famous soprano arias. I don't think. I mean, it's been in soundtracks and stuff like that, but I want to say, was it Shawshank Redemption? I don't remember what movie it was on.
It could have been.
I think it was. One of the most famous arias. From what sopranos say, one of the hardest roles in the repertoire because it requires a lot of coloratura with dramatic singing. So we have Bellini's Casta Diva from the ever so famous opera Norma. And who did you pick, Mr. Yvonne?
I chose the legendary Fluty High Notes, Montserrat Caballé. I thought this performance was just timeless. It's just like it's one of those moments when you watch it, you can think about it through the day. So yeah, she's amazing.
When I saw your pick, I said, okay, I get it. That one I get. I think when you think about floating through a music line and just floating and just effortless, she's definitely the singers of their era. Even though go ahead.
Wait, I'll say it after your pick.
Okay. What I was gonna say. So what I was gonna say was the singers of their era. They just did it differently. I'm not saying they're better or worse than we are, but they just did it differently. I think because there are less things that they focused on than what's expected of us as musicians now, and I'll say that. So without further ado, let's take a listen at the ever so legendary Montserrat Caballé. And I also there are a few singers who are excellent teachers. There's some, and she's one of them. I encourage anybody, if you've never they're on YouTube. Take a listen and look at her master classes. They're very, very
amazing,
very informative. They're light, they're fun, but they're informative and they're good. You know, nobody wants to sit there and have somebody yell at them for an hour in a negative way. So if you want to get an old school lesson, definitely check out Montserrat's masterclasses. So my pick goes to the diva of all divas, the face of opera when it came to the 60s and 70s. Um, there's not much you could say. Well, there is much you could say. But Maria Callas, whether you like her, hate her, indifferent, the one thing that lady was music. This being, I think Norma was the role that she performed the most, if I'm not mistaken. It was either Norma or Tosca, I can't remember. But Norma was definitely, I want to say, her signature role. So if you ever want a masterclass in Costa Diva Sopranos, definitely take a listen at Miss Callas, and let's take a listen now. See, so what I find interesting is that, and that's the beauty of music, two people do it two different ways. Montserrat coasted up that line and she pulled back on those hobby flats.
Yeah.
As opposed to Maria Callas, she coasted up the line and kind of just, you know, went of a dramatic
forward.
Both are. It just depends on what you like. I could go either way with either of them. But if I had to pick, I'm going to stick with Maria Callas because there's something about Norma that she just.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna stay my vote.
You want to stay in your boat? You said. Oh, did we move on? Are you there, Mr. Yvonne? I think we lost you.
Can you hear me again?
Yeah, you're good. You're good now.
Okay. Good.
All right. So next up, we have another famous countertenor aria. We have Dove Sei. So, Mr. Yvonne, could you let us know who you picked?
All right. So who I picked for Dove Sei was, I believe, Franco Fagioli. I picked him because he brought a different color to the aria. He is a countertenor that is someone that I've been watching for a while. He kind of came on the scene when I was kind of like maybe 3 or 4 years in. Is an Argentinian countertenor, extremely talented, musical when he sings. I think he is a little wooden sometimes in his movements. His facial expressions are kind of, they will make you feel a little uncomfortable sometimes. But listening to the voice, it's a unique timbre. You could play it. What did you think?
Before I play it, I will say this. He, I had never heard of him before. And when I saw his name and I went to do my research, I said, I like his voice. I like his voice a lot. Because it's a departure from that
the hootie sound.
I don't want to say that.
I'm the countertenor and I can say that the hootie sound.
Not me. So it was a departure from that traditional, we'll say traditional sound. And yeah, I loved it. Like he has a gorgeous voice. So yeah, let's take a listen. Handel's Dove Sei, Mr. Franco Fagioli. I mean, it's such a beautiful, warm sound.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love. It's, I hope so. Tell me of him a little bit. Is he actively still singing?
Yes. So the thing about Franco is like I literally like aspired to eventually work with the opera company that he is employed with, but now he got signed with Decca. He literally is out here. I believe he just did that we're gonna be, getting on. He just did that entire opera by Handel, and he played the voice that I'm taking on, which is piacere, pleasure. But no, he is. I'm telling you, he is a force to be reckoned with. The thing about Franco is, one of my teachers, my past teachers, I just totally forgot about this. She and him knew each other very well. So she told me, she literally said, you remind me very much of Franco. Like you guys, I consider almost enigmas in a way because you do things with the voice and you have a certain color of the voice that is different. But she did tell me, she's like, the last time I spoke to him, he was telling me like, I'm having trouble with my B flats. And then she literally was like, I have a countertenor that's singing like high D's. So then she's like, I can help you out. But she said he's such a sweet person. He's so nice. And he always gets the green light for me. I listen to him regularly on my Spotify playlist. And I still aspire, no matter how long it takes, that we will be on the same opera ticket performing a Baroque opera together and giving them their lives. So and who did you pick?
For this, I picked. Now I have a touch and go with Mr. Andres Scholl. Um,
Mm.
Sometimes he does it for me, sometimes he doesn't. This in particular, I liked for him. The Dovese, I liked it. It was pretty good. One of the more famous commentators I think we can both agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it was pretty good. So let's take a listen. I think he takes like a more traditional approach to it.
Yeah.
Almost clipping the ends of the phrase. I want to say it's almost like he tapers off, which is if you can do it correctly, it's a nice effect.
Yeah.
He goes for a more traditional approach. Um, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, but
Mm-hmm.
that's but if I have to pick, I'm gonna go with Franco. I love his voice. Like you made me a new fan. I love hearing new singers. Especially not saying Andres is not a good one, but when I heard, I was first 5 seconds, I was like, okay, I'm a new fan. Like I'm a new fan. Um, yeah, I really like his voice. So moving
Good.
on right on along, we are almost done, people. Stay with us, stay with us. So moving right along, we're at number 14, the ever so legendary aria Ombrai My Fool. Uh,
Yes.
I think everybody who's anybody has heard this before. Um, I think most of us have sang it, whether you sang it as a tenor, a baritone, a countertenor, a soprano, a mezzo soprano. I think this is one of the few pieces that I think they have like almost every key. Like I've seen this piece in so many keys.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yes, Mr. Yvonne, who did you pick?
Well, the individual that I picked is the incomparable, legendary, another auntie in my mind. I picked Miss Kathleen Battle. Um, Even though this is a male's aria and it is a countertenor role,
Is Xerxes himself singing this?
Yes, Xerxes is singing this. This is Xerxes Largo. And side note, just to get off tangent since we're at the end, this aria was actually taken from Bononcini's Ombra Mai Fu. Handel and Bononcini were in London at the same time. Not working for, I think Bononcini was under the Opera of Nobility at the time. But Handel actually would take a few arias from Bononcini and kind of handle them up and then put them in his opera. So yeah, it's kind of, a borrowing of music. But I chose Miss Battle. I mean, her and the video I saw was when she's wearing kind of that flowy little gown, all white, where she's just, like literally God just opened up the side door, was just like, go ahead, Kathleen, let him hear what we do here a little bit and then come on back. Like, it was so beautiful. It's like, and I didn't choose it based on, rightfully countertenors are slaying. They're giving it to me. I'm here for it. But it's something about her singing it, which he's singing to a tree. He literally, it's like, he's having this thought that, my kingdom is going to be here. And this tree, if you watch Lord of the Rings, that's the white tree of Gondor. That's sitting right there. Like, that's the staple of the community. So when I listen to this aria, I just think of him maybe like leaning against the tree, kind of, with the tree behind him, almost in a dream, like, most people see him just standing there, but I see him kind of this intimate moment, like, oh, you like through this tree, so many good things are going to come. And I feel Kathleen's voice makes me think of him embracing that actual tree. Like, that's who he's singing, like, my dear, ombra mai fu. It's just under the shades of that tree is like, where I feel embraced. So you can play it. Let us hear it.
All right, what I'm going to do, Kathleen, take it away. I mean, we'll be here all day. I mean, it's beautiful. It is gorgeous. All of those good things. But if you see who I picked, my favorite, I definitely picked Mr. Franco Fagioli, who we just heard. Fagioli, excuse me. Everything you said about Kathleen is spot on, but I'm gonna tell you what I can't get over. I cannot get over that it's a countertenor role. And so while it is ethereal and beautiful, and Kathleen is doing what Kathleen does, she takes peace and sends it up to heaven. No argument with me there. The reason why I didn't pick a female voice, because I feel like it loses the masculinity. I feel like it loses that ever so slightly, not fully, but that bit of masculinity that would come from it being from a countertenor. Right.
Yeah.
If this was a soprano aria and he happened to be singing a soprano aria, it would clearly be Kathleen's, hands down.
Yeah.
But let's take a listen. I know we just heard him, but let's take a listen and see what we think. And one thing is so interesting that you made the speech about the tree. Because if you watch he's literally singing.
He's embracing it.
Yes.
Yeah, he's literally,
So, he definitely got extra points for me there. Because he literally said the same thing that you described. Not to say that
he didn't.
I mean, Kathleen did her thing, but you literally described what was supposed to be done, and he did.
Well, to be honest, out of all the countertenors singing it, he is my favorite. I mean, just putting that out there. He is my favorite.
I want to hear, I would love to hear you sing more of this stuff. I know you probably have your feelings of why you don't sing more of this. We're on our last one, so we're gonna don't worry, we're wrapping up. When I heard two pieces in particular, I want to hear you sing this, And the good thing about it is that I know you can transpose it and sing it as high as you want to sing it. But I want to always hear you hear this, and I know this next one you're gonna be mad at me for saying this, but I wanted to hear you do the Overwhelm scene, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Oh God.
No, I'm gonna tell you why. I've never seen Alfred Deller do it. I forgot who's on that main recording doing it. I can't remember.
I forget.
Oh my God. Is it Brian Asawa? Is it him on the main recording doing it?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. I think it's somebody in between Deller and Brian, like somebody that was singing.
Was it like Michael Chance or James Bowman?
James Bowman. It was James Bowman. Yes, he's in the famous one that was recorded on video. James Bowman.
Yeah.
It's you this sense of regalness that you have. And of course, clearly, clearly Oberon is the king of the fairies. So, and the costume. Now I know vocally it's a bit boring for you because you're used to singing in the higher tessitura, but I would love for you to sing that. Like that would. Let me ask you a hypothetical. If they did it, would you do Oberon?
If they transpose it like they did for Robert Crow.
Okay, I'll buy that. If they
transpose it like they did for Robert Crow, and I'll give y'all all the Oberon y'all want.
I mean, I just love that scene, that Welcome Wanderer.
Maybe I could talk to Lewis about that. Maybe I could talk to Lewis about transposing it, and like I'll add it in or something. Give people different thoughts.
With your voice, even though I want to hear it done dramatically, I guess is what I'm saying. Because everybody approaches it kind of like, Welcome Wanderer. And they do it really like, easy going. And I know how you do. I want to hear a more dramatic take on it. I would love to.
You know what I think? When I think of Oberon, and this is like just even because my mom used to take us to the Beardsley Zoo in Connecticut, and they used to do Shakespeare in the park during the summers. And Midsummer's Night Dream was one of the first plays that I remember seeing. And of course, when Oberon comes on stage, you already know I'm like, ooh, he's pretty nice. So
I could see you do the costume and I could see it.
But there's something about it where if I was to ever take on the role and they were to ask me to say, hey, Yvonne, like, what is your interpretation of Oberon? Oberon gives me like a very aloof person, but has a very sinister, sensual kind of fire beneath him. It's like I'm pretending to kind of, almost, I don't know, like if I was to approach it, I would want it to be a very sensual but regal kind of, that's how I've always envisioned it. Like I've seen certain people play it, how do you think? How do you think about that?
I think you would be in the middle of how Robert did it and how James did it. Because I think James did it more regal, and I think Robert's was more sinister.
Yeah.
And I think what made it more sinister even was because Maestro Illich allowed him the opportunity to like sing up there with Titania, the Queen of the Fairies. He allowed him to take that. He was like, I'm sure there was a conversation that happened, and he was like, listen, this is kind of boring. I can sing high A's and B flats. And he literally would drown her out. Like, because she had, Titania is not the role is written for like a light soprano. Like, it's like a lyric.
Yeah.
And I could hear that.
Oh, that would be so. Oh, but then I can't. Oh my God! Imagine if I'm coming in and it's giving you the drama. It's giving you this huge, and they're gonna that Tatiana. It would not even be a Midsummer's Oberon.
It's funny you say that because that's how Robert did it. The entrance, not this particular, his entrance in the opera. They both come on and they're kind of it's a very dramatic scene. And they come on and hitting high A's and high B flats, and it's just
is there a recording of it?
I went on Lake George's I went on Lake George's website to see if there are archives, and it's really hard to see. It's really hard to even get information. So what I think I might have to do is email somebody there to see if we can get a copy of the archives. Um, I'm sure Robert would love to hear him back in the day when he was singing them high notes. I mean, you had to, I can hear him.
Because what I want to do, because I'm literally, see, now you're making me think, because I might send Robert Crow a message because he responds. Thank you, Robert. Good Judy.
It's so funny. If and when you speak to him, ask him, do he remember A Midsummer Night Dream from Lake George?
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. I'm going to be like, hello, Robert. I have a colleague that's attending school with me, and they have told me that you have performed A Midsummer Night Dream at Lake George with so-and-so composer, and that they transposed it for you. Do you still have the music?
I don't know if I don't know if they transposed it, but what they did, they let him sing up the octave. So he was singing them high A's and B flats and C. I was like, oh my God. Like,
yeah, no, I would love to.
Having it.
I would love to. I think that would give it a different, I'll probably even watch the opera before I pass out tonight. I'll probably
it's interesting. It's interesting. It'll keep you. It's interesting. I'll say that. I mean, it can be a bit on the boring side vocally for Oberon, and I know you're gonna say that when you watch it. That's why I feel like it could be a little more dramatic to make it a little more interesting.
I think the Czech wouldn't be boring though.
Huh?
I think the Czech wouldn't be boring though.
a whole other.
It's like, oh, this is interesting. This music is, it's doable.
Last but not least, we have the ever so famous, I would probably say one of the most famous arias ever heard, so much so that people cross from different genres sing this. And we hear y'all, but yeah.
Especially at those shows, America Ain't Got Talent, Britain Ain't Got Talent, those shows, perfect. Okay.
This episode with the ever so famous tenor aria Nessun Dorma from Puccini's Piranha. And Yvonne, take it away. Who did you pick?
I chose a tenor that my first teacher, when I was singing tenor before I did the switch, had me listen to a lot. And this voice, I think, is beautiful. It is so, and then I recently found this singer on some Handel cantatas, and I melted. I literally melted, because it's like, oh, you're singing actual, like, really good Baroque music. I chose Jesse Bjorling. Beautiful. His Earl Koenig as well. It's beautiful. He's a phenomenal performer, a phenomenal musician. He is legendary. I had to. You could roll it. You could just roll it. It's beautiful.
All right, I'll give my opinion on Mr. Bjorling in the sec. Let's hear some Nessun Dorma. All right. An exceptional lyric tenor. What I like about Bjorling is that he sang arias that were sometimes out of his fach, but he sang it with his voice, his technique, and I was so interested. I was having this conversation earlier today with a certain somebody. I'll tell you in a few. But you always sing it with your technique and with your voice. You don't sing it with somebody else's technique and somebody else's voice. You can sing an aria without having to sing it on stage. Yes, you're not gonna sing every role that you may or may not, sing the aria to. Every tenor known to man has sang Nessun Dorma, most of them, I would say. But the role of Caliph, most of them could not sing, or most of them would not sing. It's a dramatic tenor role. It's very hard. It doesn't play. But one tenor who has sang both the role and has sang this piece in the ground, they call him the king of the tenors in his generation.
Mm-hmm.
Most people said it was Pavarotti after him, but when it came to that dramatic repertoire, the man looked like a movie star.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he's probably in my top 3 favorite tenors of all time. The none other than the Italian, crazy, talented. I don't even know. This is probably one of my favorite tenors of all times. Mr. Franco Corelli. Let's listen and we'll talk some more. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
I really wish I could transport myself back in time to be because as you and I both know, hearing somebody on the screen and hearing them in person is a different experience. It's
Definitely.
nothing like hearing a live voice and sitting there absorbing the instrument and absorbing the instrument and absorbing just the talent. I love Bjorling, but I'm not getting off my boat. I mean, that's Franco Corelli. That's the man right there.
I'm out on yours, throw a rope, carry mine along behind.
I mean, so Bjorling is definitely one for the books. I think one of my favorite things I've ever heard him sing was Meyerbeer's Operatic, which is probably another one of my favorite arias. But yes, that was definitely my favorite tenor. So, ladies and gents, and people of all ages, this concludes this episode of OperaTuneiTea. Yes. There are a lot of arias, so we'll in between our regular episodes, we'll always, throw a dash of some more arias. We love to share music. That's what this podcast is about.
Yes.
Until next time, like we always say, I hope you're having a good day or night, depending on where you're listening. And if you're not, it's okay, but don't go messing up anybody else's. Okay?
Please don't.
We got enough to deal with as it is, as citizens of the world in the time that we living in. We have enough to deal with. So sit back, throw on some Franco Fagioli, throw on some Kathleen Battle, some Leontine Price, some Shirley Verrett, some Maria Callas, Franco Corelli, whoever you enjoy listening to. And you all have a blessed rest of your day and or night or afternoon.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.